Hi there, and welcome to the next episode of Quakerly Conversations. My name is Will Overholt, Associate Director of Alumni and Parent Engagement here at Wilmington College. We are joined today by Roger Huston, a 1965 alum and considered the voice of horse racing in the local area. Roger, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate the time.
Well, pleasure to be with you, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it.
Awesome. We really appreciate it. Just getting started. There's been, in our research, on you, there's been a lot of different things in the news journal and through some articles in the link. I really want to get started on your start into horse racing announcing, your time at Wilmington College. How did that all come to be, and how did you get started into the career?
Well, it really starts with my uncle, who was the announcer at Lebanon Raceway in Warren County, starting in 1953 when I was about 11 years old. And I loved harness racing, and I liked to do things. So a lot of times, instead of staying at home and studying the books for school the next day, I'd make the trip to Lebanon Raceway with him. So for all those years in elementary and high school, I probably attended Lebanon Raceway as much as I attended school. My introduction was in Wilmington, Ohio, believe it or not, for harness racing. Again, my uncle, Don, was doing the matinee at the Clinton County Fairgrounds in Wilmington on a Sunday afternoon in 1960, and I was still in school at that time, senior in high school. And he asked me if I wanted to go to the matinee with him, and I said, sure. So we go to Wilmington, and I'm sitting over in the grandstand, and they got about 12 races that day. He announced the first race, and after the first race, he got on the PA system and said, Roger Huston, come to the infield judges stand right away. I thought, what in the world's going on here? So I get to the judges stand. He says, I got to go to the bathroom. Do this post parade. That's when you introduce the horses to the people, tell who the owner and the driver is and the horse's name. So I did it. And as they headed to the gate for that second race, Bobby Williams, who managed a breeding farm there in Wilmington, he was the presiding judge, and I said, Bobby, what's going on? Where's Don? Oh, didn't he tell you? And I says, what do you mean? He says, he's not coming back. You're calling the rest of the races today. That first race was horrible. I'm not sure whether the PA system picked up my knees hitting together or what, but the next race was a little better, and by the time we got to 10 and 11 and 12 races, I was feeling pretty comfortable. So that was the actual introduction of announcing horse races.
Wow. Okay. That was going to be my question, was if you had felt nervous when you got started, or if it was just right off the bat, you kind of flowed with it.
Oh, no, don't forget, I'm just a senior in high school.
Absolutely.
I'm 16, 17 years old, and I'd never talked on the PA system at a horse race. This was something new to me. I'd listened to Don do it for years, so I knew what to say and things, but that nervousness is there.
Okay.
Wow. So now at this point in time, how I don't know if you know the exact number of how many races you've done at this point. Do you know?
I'm zeroing in. I think I'm 43 races shy of 185,000.
Wow.
Now,
that's tremendous.
We believe that is the most races ever announced by anybody, whether it be thoroughbred, steeplechase, any type of horse racing. Now, there have been a couple announcers claim that they've announced 200,000 races. Well, I investigated those announcers and found out when they started announcing, and they would have had to have announced like 10 to 15 races every day 365 days a year to get to that figure for the number of years that they've been announcing. So those couple announcers, I think, just are guessing. When I asked Uncle Don how many he called, he said I'm around 90,000, and he was about right on. But
Wow.
Next year we're eligible to go into the Guinness World Book of Records.
Really?
The longest announcing career in the world. Right now it's held by Vince Scully, the announcer for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I've been told that it was 67 years. This is my 67th this year, so we're tying him. And next year, first race I announce in 2027, and I have plans to do it. We could go into the Guinness World Book of Records if I know how to do that and get it accomplished.
Wow, that's insane. I mean, tremendous. And I mean, as I'm hearing you talk to us, like, it really doesn't sound like your voice has taken a tremendous amount of toll. I mean, is there anything that you do to, like, keep your voice intact after all these years?
I could be a spokesman for Hall's eucalyptus cough drops.
Okay.
I buy the 80 pack, and every day that I announce, almost every day, I go through about 7 or 8.
Wow.
Before COVID, this is interesting. Before COVID, I could get 3 races with 1 cough drop. After COVID started and all the companies started cutting back, they wanted to charge the same amount of money, but they reduced what you were getting for your money. Hall's cough drops got smaller, and now I only get 2 races for every cough drop. So,
wow.
But I'd hate to say how many I go through in a given year. It's unreal.
Wow.
How did you develop the nickname, or how did you earn the nickname The Voice?
Jumping ahead, when I did the county fairs, and then I got filling in at Lexington, Kentucky. I mean, don't let me forget to tell that story.
Okay.
That definitely ties into Wilmington College.
Awesome.
In 1965. But I got a job at the Red Mile. I got a job at Pompano Park in Pompano Beach, Florida. And the gentleman that owned 84 Lumber, Joe Hardy, he also owned the Meadows Racetrack. And he came to Florida and wanted me to give up my job in Florida to move to Pittsburgh in the dead of winter. It wasn't hard to say yes, but I wanted to think things through, because the day he showed up at my house was the first week that we had opened our swimming pool in the backyard. And he's asking me to leave Florida to go to the Meadows and give up a swimming pool and things like that. Well, eventually, about midnight that night, after he'd been at the house for 7 hours, I said yes. I had one alternative: either say yes or have him arrested for trespassing, because he wasn't going to take no for the answer. And so when I moved from Florida to Pennsylvania, the publicity director, Tom Rooney, who is also related to Art Rooney, I think he's his nephew, that owned the Pittsburgh Steelers, was the publicity director at the Meadows. And in his idea of promoting, he nicknamed me The Voice. And it's continued in my entire career and everything else that I do.
That's awesome. That's a good nickname. I like it a lot. Do you want to talk about Lexington, Kentucky?
Okay. Let me back up just a little here.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That first year that I announced in 1960, I announced 99 races. all over, I think it was 5 county fairs in the state of Ohio, and that grew to the point that I eventually got called by Lexington. The day that Lexington, Kentucky called me to come down and announce for 1 week was the same day that I graduated from Wilmington College. And I was driving home from Wilmington to Xenia, and Uncle Don passed me right before we got to Lumberton, right there on 68.
Oh, yeah.
And motioned to me to pull over side of the road. So I pulled over side of the road, and he says, hey, Phil Mulger down in Lexington called. He's got to go to Toledo Raceway for the final week of the meet, and he was wondering if you could announce the races at the Red Mile for 5 days. And I called him that night. They said yes, but there was a slight problem. The problem was, during the time that I was going to Wilmington College, I was also working as a sports and news director of an FM station in Xenia, Ohio, WHBM 103.9. Oh, I can remember that. And I asked the owner of the station if I could be off for 5 days. He said, absolutely no. You cannot get time off. We don't have any replacement. You got to work. So my schedule for 5 days was announcing on radio from 5 a.m. or I'd go in at 5 a.m. and announce on the air at 6 until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd go home, sleep for about 2 hours, get up, drive 147 miles on 75 to Lexington, Kentucky.
Wow.
Announce 9 races, get back home about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, sleep for a few hours, start it all over the next day. And I did that for 5 straight days. And we did that for like 2 or 3 years. And then finally in 1976, I got hired to, well, not in 76, but in 1968, I think it was, I got both the Red Mile and Pompano Park in Florida, and stayed there until 1976 when I went to the Meadows. So my life totally changed the day I graduated from Wilmington College. I didn't actually graduate in 65. That's when my diploma was. But I had, I think I needed 4 or 5 more hours for graduation. I eventually got that thanks to my advisor.
Awesome.
That's another story.
That's awesome.
You mentioned your advisor, and during some of our research, I noticed that you had a really good relationship with Hugh Highland. Can you share about that?
I went to Wilmington to be a school teacher. I thought, well, shoot, I can announce the county fairs in the summer times, teach school. Hey, they only have to work 9 months a year, so why can't you in the summertime announce horse races as a sideline? Well, that eventually changed, and Elizabeth Kinzig was my advisor, and I got to tell another story.
That's fine. We got all the time in the world.
I was a physical education major with also biology, Dr. Hazard. And the first week that we were on the trampoline in physical education in the old gymnasium, how do I say this? The very first time I was on the trampoline, I went up, and when I came down, it sounded like the 4th of July. And I blew out my knee and things like that. So it kind of hampered my physical education degree, but Dr. Kinzig worked with me, And finally, when I did get the diploma, so to speak, in '65, I still needed 4 hours. And at that point, I must say that I really wasn't thinking about getting a diploma, really. It didn't really matter to me because I already had my life's work started and such. But she kept after me to do it, and finally arranged me to take some spatial instructions in, I think it was 1968 or so, and I got that final 4 hours and actually got the diploma. And that's another story. I mean, you guys are not going to have to talk much on this podcast to get me started.
That's all right. I was going to say, you're used to talking, we're used to listening. I'm okay with that.
The one Fred Risk story that I must tell, and I don't know how many people know this story now because it happened, I believe, the very first year that I was at Wilmington in 1960. And in those days, Wilmington did not get a passenger bus to take the basketball team to the games. We drove automobiles. Some of the seniors, most of them were members of Tau Kappa Beta, TKB. It's the basketball fraternity on campus. And we were going to Berea, Kentucky to play basketball. And the lead car was involved in a fatal automobile accident, bad weather, snowing. I think 3 of the starters were in that car. I think Larry Clark, Eric and Archie was the center, and I'm not for sure who the other one was in the vehicle, but a couple of them got hurt, minor, but they couldn't play that night. And at that time, the sports information director at Wilmington was Roger Vickroy. And Roger actually dressed up uniform that night and played in place of Eric and Archie against Berea. But one of my duties was to lock the dressing room when everybody was out up on the floor. So I checked and thought everybody was out, and I locked the dressing room and go upstairs, and I was also the scorer. I did the book for the basketball team on away and home games at that time as well. And they played the national anthem, and I looked over, and Fred Risk was not there. I thought, where's Fred? You know, I'm starting to get worried. And a young boy, about 10 years old, comes over to the scorer's table and says, "Mister," he says, "there's somebody down there in your dressing room beating on the door. Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!"
Oh my gosh.
I knew exactly who it was, and I give him the key, and he goes down, lets Fred. I mean, if his looks could have killed, I would have dropped dead that time, because Fred gave me the meanest look you ever saw.
Wow.
He had gone to the bathroom before going upstairs, and I didn't notice that, and so I locked him in. And he didn't speak to me for about 2 weeks. And then it was ever so slightly. But at that time, and I'm assuming Wilmington still has a clipping company that clips all releases worldwide. Mention Wilmington College. And at that time, I believe, and I might be a little off on the number, they finally got the clippings of newspaper articles all over the world. England, Ireland, Australia. Who needs a basketball coach? And it tells the story. And I think it was something like 700-800 clippings of various outlets all over the world. And I actually made Fred Risk a star.
I was gonna off of that a little bit. You know, thinking about all the years and everything that you've seen. Is there one call or one harness race that you can think of, that tops all the rest that you come back to after all these years?
The one race that stands out more than any was a jug of 2015, I believe, and it was the race won by Wiggle It Jiggle It, and that's a great name for a horse.
It is a great name for a horse.
But he'd become a fan favorite all along in all harness racing. His caretaker was 6'5", 325 pounds. I mean, big guy. Called him Big Mike. I don't have no idea what his last name was, but Big Mike took care of this horse. And there was a story about everything. So, and the rest of the story is they paid $45,000 a supplemental fee to get into the jug that year. They weren't eligible, but you could get in for $45,000. And he got locked in a ding-dong battle with a horse by the name of Lost for Words. And from the first eighth all to the finish of the wire, it was a ding-dong battle between Lost for Words on the inside and Hung on the outside, Wiggle It Jiggle It, going the long mile, an extra maybe 80, 90 feet more of a distance because he was parked on the outside. And in that call, as they started down the backside going to the three-quarter pole, I says, "This battle has turned into a war!" And the crowd just roared up with that call and everything. Top of the lane, Lost for Words opens up by about a length and a quarter, and Wiggle It Jiggle It starts going back. And it looked like he wasn't even going to hit the ticket. And his owner and trainer, George Tigg, said that he actually turned and walked away and did not watch the last eighth of a mile because it was so disappointing to him. But all of a sudden, Montrell Tigg, the trainer's son, driving the horse, got back on the outside, and Wiggle It Jiggle It came on, and the final call, and Wiggle It Jiggle It wins the Little Brown Jug. And that one race to me was the greatest race I've ever called, and a lot of people will agree with me on that. So
yeah, wow, I can even, like, when you talk about it and redo the call, I can hear it in the voice. That's so cool.
If you ever get a chance, just go to YouTube and Wiggle It Jiggle It Little Brown Jug and listen to it, because it's a classic harness race.
Awesome. That is so cool.
But there's one other race that people always play on YouTube. It's a horse by the name of Falcon Sealster. It was a 3-year-old pacer, and he was not eligible to the jug in 1983. So they put him in a $6,000 open pace the same day of the jug. The jug went in 152-1 that day. But Falcon Sealster raced against 5 other horses, and he set a world record of 151, fastest mile ever on a half-mile track, and was 1 1/5 seconds faster than the Little Brown Jug.
Wow.
But there was one line that I threw into that race that people say they identify me with that call, and it was something to the effect that at the three-quarter pole and such time, Wiggle It Jiggle It and Tom Harmer open up by 5. If you've never been on your feet, you better stand up now.
Oh yeah.
And that one call is one thing that everybody remembers me for as well.
I love that. That's good. I'm hyped up. I don't know about you, Jameer.
Yeah, definitely.
This is totally Wilmington College. You remember I told the story that I never had any public speaking courses in high school, all of Huston and such. When I went to Wilmington College, I decided to take a public speaking course from Hugh Highland. Hugh Highland, to me, was the greatest person in my life. He taught me more about public speaking, reflection of your voice, and how to make something dramatic and things like that. He always wanted me to get into plays or do something in theater with him, but my schedule was never so I could do anything like that. But that one semester of public speaking with Hugh Highland probably did more to define my career and becoming voice of harness racing than anything else. And we became great friends at Wilmington. He often said that there were two students he was so most proud of, and one of them was Gary Sandy, who starred in WKRP Cincinnati, graduated from Wilmington. He was in the theater at Wilmington, but he also threw in there as a close second was Roger Huston. And Hugh loved harness racing as well, because he actually did a radio show, not connected with the college, but for the Wilmington radio station on harness racing. And I appeared on it a couple times with him. And the day I went into the Little Brown Jug Wall of Fame in Delaware, I'm up there speaking. I look out in the audience, and there was Hugh Highland sitting there. And just
that's awesome.
It was a great friendship, and between Elizabeth Kenzig and Fred Risk and Hugh Highland, James Reed, great people. And
that's awesome.
It was all for Wilmington College people.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much. You want to anything coming up that you're going to be announcing at that people can come hear you or come see you? Right now, I substitute at Miami Valley in south of Dayton. I also substitute at Northfield up like Cleveland, Ohio, here at the Meadows. Whenever they need an announcer as a backup, I get those. I think my first county fair in Ohio is at Cortland, Ohio, and I think that's on July the 14th, doing, I think it's 12 county fairs in the state of Ohio this year.
Wow.
For the 15th year in a row, I'm going to Ireland. It's called the Vincent Delaney Memorial, and that's in the first week in August. And so I've got a lot of traveling to do, and if you go to a county fair in Ohio, you're almost certain to hear Roger Huston. Good.
Well, that's awesome. Again, we really appreciate the time, and good luck on attempting to break the Guinness World Record on that. We'll be following along. Obviously, we'll be posting about it whenever you achieve that feat. That's really tremendous too. So good luck on that. Again, thank you so much. It's been really, really great, hearing your story and getting to listen about some of the war stories from your time.
And good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We'll see you on Alumni Day, June the 28th?
Saturday, June 27th.
June 27th.
Yep. We'll be featuring Roger as our alumni speaker for that day. So we're looking forward to having him back on campus. We'll have him around for the full day. So it'll be awesome. We're looking forward to it. So thank you so much for that plug. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
Okay. Be there!